Here's something I wanted to share with you for a moment because it's in the front of my mind. I just did a story in my monthly column for Bear Hunting Magazine on weather and how it affects bear hunting and bear visits to baits. And it's pretty interesting. I hear a lot of opinions on this, and I just wanted to share mine from thousands and thousands of hours of sitting on bear baits. And quite a few years ago, my friend Tom Ainsworth, he's an outfitter in Manitoba, he said something that made a lot of sense to me, and it also matched my own experiences. And he basically said that bears like the same weather that we do. And I have found that when I'm sitting on a bait in the afternoon and it's just really nice out and a light wind, and I'm sitting there thinking, boy, what a beautiful day to be in the woods. That's the kind of days when you see the most bears. So how does wind and rain and cloudy or sunny or hot or cold, how do all these things affect bear visits to baits? Well, let's talk this through a little bit. It's not the same as deer hunting, where how many times have you heard a deer hunter say, boy, if we just had a good cold snap, it'd really get those bucks on their feet. And that's just not necessarily the case with bears. In fact, it's kind of the opposite is true, and that really played out this year as we had some early cold weather here in Minnesota and Wisconsin. And man, I get a lot of people that contact me on Facebook, email, texting, and so forth, and are asking for advice on bear hunting. And my phone and email messages and Facebook messages just lit up. September 8th, 9th, and 10th, 11th, right in through there. We had 3 nights where it got down into the upper 20s in northern Minnesota and across northern Wisconsin, where thousands and thousands of people are running bear baits and hunting in the early weeks of the bear season in both those states. And it just happened all at once where we had this cold weather, and I got all these messages, and they basically all said, help, my bear baits went dead and I don't know what to do. And I get messages like that pretty regular, but it's really difficult to answer them because there's so many variables about the amount of bait, the type of bait, the locations, so many things that affect how well it's just really complex. Bear baiting is very, very complex, and people think it's easy, but in reality, to me, I think that getting a mature male bear, a really big, nice bear, to come to a bait during legal shooting light is one of the toughest challenges there is in hunting. So it's so complex, it's normally really hard to answer, but this year it was very clear to me because I had a bunch of baits out too, and my baits dropped way off during those cold weather nights. Now, why would that be? Bears they got a thick layer of fat and they got thick fur. You'd think they would like cold weather, but they just tend to like the same weather that we do. And when it got really cold at night, it's counterintuitive, but they just quit coming to the baits. And you'd think that it would be the opposite because you'd think, okay, they're getting ready for hibernation, they're eating 25,000 calories a day, so when it gets cold, they would think they'd have to eat more, but they just really don't. So, a cold snap like that can slow the baits down. Really super hot weather can also slow the baits down or really make your bears go nocturnal because they're laying in the swamp until it really cools off at night, and they're staying right in water and in cool, damp areas. So what about wind and rain and things like that? Here's a good way to put it. Let's just think about the bear's senses and how he's really fine-tuned. A bear's always on edge when he's coming to a bait. He's always nervous about it. He just knows free food is just not right. And so there's always this edgy feeling to it, and that's why it's so important to make your bears comfortable with the location and the cover and everything like that. So his senses are really tuned in, especially his sense of smell, of sight, and of hearing. Now think about a really windy day, okay? Everything's moving. The leaves are rattling and everything's moving. That really affects his sight, and the noise affects his hearing. And the third thing is that the wind is just shucking and jiving and swirling, and he just can't find the source of a smell. It just makes them more and more nervous, so they just don't move as much on windy days. Now, I know I hear people going, well, hey, I know somebody that killed a big bear on a really windy day, and that's certainly happened, and it happens, but it is not the norm, it's the exception. The same goes with rain. It dulls their senses, it makes noise, things are moving, and they can't smell as well because the scents are being knocked down. So the less they can use their senses, the less they're going to move to the bait. And that's just a basic, simple concept. Now, here's how you can use this to your advantage. Those windy days when the bears are just not moving, when that wind dies down, in that last hour of daylight is a really, really good time to be in the stand. Okay, the same goes with rain, where, for example, you got a good long rain. I'm not talking about a cloudburst or something like that, but one of those kind of day-long rains where it's been raining all night and all day, and then it ends in the afternoon and it starts to clear off. Man, what a fantastic time to be at the bait, because those bears are going to stand up and they're hungry because they've been holed up under a spruce tree somewhere, and they're going to shake off and go, well, let's go get something to eat, and they're going to come to the bait. So those are great times to be on the bait. So that's just my thoughts on how weather affects the bear hunting, and thanks for listening to it. And if you would have something that you'd like to add to it, then drop a comment below and let's discuss it. Certainly I'm not the last word on this, and there's other people that may have had experiences that differ with what I'm saying, and like I said, there's always exceptions and so forth. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.